Welcome back to End Times Prophecy News for the 8 o'clock report. From dark government, root out the truth. Yes, Syria prepared before the airbase attack. Syrian military officials appeared to anticipate Thursday night's raid on Syria's Shakrat airbase, evacuating personnel and moving equipment ahead of the strike, according to an eyewitness. Dozens of Tomahawk missiles struck the airbase near Homs, damaging runways, towers, and traffic control buildings, a local resident and human rights activist living near the airbase told ABC News via an interpreter. U.S. officials believe the plane that dropped chemical weapons on civilians in Idlib province on Tuesday, which according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights killed 86 people, took off from the same airbase. The attack lasted approximately 35 minutes, and its impact was felt across the city, shaking houses and sending those inside them fleeing from their windows. Firefighters responded shortly after the attack was over. Syrian officials call U.S. military strike and, well, this doesn't work, but by Friday, shops were closed. Traffic was flowing normally, and regime forces were back in the airbase to assess the damage. A Syrian army spokesman announced on state TV that 6 people were killed and several more were injured in the attack from the U.S. Both of the air base's major runways were struck by missiles, and some of its 40 fortified bunkers and some out-of-service planes parked in a hangar were damaged as well. Local residents say the Russian military had used the airbase in early 2016 but have since withdrawn their officers, so the base is now mainly operated by Syrian and Iranian military officers. There is also a hotel nearby where Iranian officers had been staying, though it was not clear whether it was damaged. The city remains on high alert, and there is already a wave of people flowing out of the area surrounding the air base, possibly fearing a follow-up strike. The airstrike follows confirmation by the Turkish Health Ministry that autopsies on several victims of Tuesday's attack, speaking of not of Donald Trump's, but of the gas sarin attack, confirmed the use of a nerve agent sarin in violation of international law and represents an escalation of U.S. involvement in the 7-year conflict. Soon after the strike, President Donald Trump delivered a statement from his Mar-a-Lago retreat where he was meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. There can be no dispute that Syria used banned chemical weapons, violated its obligations under the Chemical Weapons Convention, and ignored the urging of the UN Security Council, Trump said Thursday night. Years of previous attempts at changing Assad's behavior have all failed, and failed very dramatically. Former National Security Advisor and ABC News contributor Richard Clark said this attack, one of the quickest displays of force by a new president in recent history, is largely symbolic. Following a 2013 chemical weapons attack that killed more than 1,400 people outside of Damascus, which a U.S. government intelligence assessment concluded likely used a nerve agent, the Obama administration threatened retaliation, but ultimately called off planned airstrikes after Assad agreed to turn over the majority of his chemical weapons arsenal to an international watchdog group. Trump, who was critical of Obama's decision during his presidential campaign, despite the fact that he, in 2013, urged Obama via Twitter not to take military action, has recently attempted to blame Obama's weakness for the worsening violence in Syria. This attack on one airbase seems more symbolic, Clark said. I think Secretary of Defense General James Mattis gave the president a list of options, this is being the smallest. It was a targeted attack not designed to overwhelm the Syrian military. I think the president was trying to differentiate himself from his predecessor.
If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land.